He's 58 years old, and for the last 20 years, nobody has looked at him twice. Not the cashier at the grocery store, not the younger women at his office, not even his own wife. Back before the marriage quietly fell apart, somewhere along the way, he became invisible. And then one evening, he pushes open a door in the Philippines, steps into a small bar with cold air and warm gold lights. And in the space of about 4 seconds, every head in that room turns toward him like flowers turning to the sun. Six, seven, eight beautiful women smiling at him all at once. And something in his chest that has been asleep for 2 whole decades suddenly opens its eyes. Now, here's what I need you to understand, and I'm going to tell you the honest truth the way nobody else will. Most of what that man is about to feel in that room is real. And most of what he's about to believe about it is completely, and I mean completely wrong. So stay with me because by the end of this, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens the first night a man over 55 steps into a Filipina bar. What's real, what's theater, and the one quiet mistake that 90 out of 100 men make before they've even finished their first drink. Hi, I'm Marian. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm a Filipina. I'm in my late 30s. And on this channel, I tell foreign men like you the truth about Filipinas that your friends won't say and the polite channels are too scared to touch. No fairy tales, no scare stories, just the real thing. From a woman who has watched this exact scene play out more times than I can count. And tonight, my dear, we're walking into that bar together. If you enjoy watching my videos, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a video in the future. Thanks. Now come on, take my arm. Let's push that door open and I'll show you what's actually going on inside. So let's start with the moment itself. That first step through the door because if you've never felt it, you cannot imagine it. And if you have felt it, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. It hits you like warm water. The music is soft. The lights are low and flattering. And the attention. Oh, the attention. For a man who has spent years feeling like a ghost in his own life, walking into that room is like being handed back something he thought was gone forever. Suddenly, he is seen. Suddenly, he is interesting. Suddenly, there are bright eyes finding his across the room, a little wave, a smile that seems to say, "Yes, you, come sit with me. And let me be very clear with you, because this matters." That feeling is not a lie. The loneliness he came in with was real, and the relief he feels in that moment is real too. I'm not here to laugh at that man. I've watched too many good men, kind men, hardworking men walk into that light with their hearts wide open. So no jokes. But here's the part I need you to hold on to. Because we're going to come back to it again and again tonight. The feeling is real. What that feeling means is the thing you have to be smart about. Now let's talk about why. Why does a room full of young, beautiful women light up when a man 3 times some of their ages walks in? And I want you to really hear my answer because most channels give you one of two garbage explanations. One says, "Oh, they all adore older Western men. It's true love at first sight." The other says, "Oh, they're all after your wallet, run for your life." Both of those are lazy. Both of those are wrong. The truth lives in the middle, and it's more interesting than either. Here's the first reason, and it's the simplest novelty. In that room, on that night, you are different. You're not the same faces she sees every day. You carry a whole other world with you, a world she has only seen in movies and on her phone, and there is a natural curiosity there that has nothing to do with money. Some of those women are genuinely, honestly curious about you, about where you're from, about your life. about what a man from that faraway place is really like up close. Here's the second reason, and this is where men get uncomfortable. So let me say it gently but plainly. In that room, you represent stability. Not just money, though, yes, money is part of it, and I'll get to that, I promise. But bigger than money, you represent the idea of a steady man. A man who might stay, a man who might not disappear, might not drink the rent away, might not have three other families across town. Many of these women have been let down by men their own age in ways that would make your heart ache. So when a settled older man walks in, calm and polite, a part of them sees something they have wanted for a very long time. And that, my dear, is also not a lie. But it's also not the same thing as loving you. Hold that thought. And here's the third reason, and this is the one nobody says out loud. The room is a stage, and every woman in it is, to some degree, performing a role, because that is the job. That warm welcome, that dazzling smile the second you walk in, is partly her and partly the choreography of the room. The house wants you happy. The house wants you staying. The house wants your drinks flowing. So the attention that washes over you the moment you step inside is not aimed at you as a man. Not yet. It is aimed at the door, at whoever walks through it. And I need you to understand the difference between attention aimed at the door and attention aimed at you, because your whole first night depends on telling those two apart. So, how do you tell them apart? This is the good part. Come closer. When the attention is aimed at the door, it's loud, it's instant, it's a little too smooth. Every question sounds like it came off a card. Where are you from? How long you stay? You buy me a drink. It's pleasant, it's practice, and it goes exactly nowhere real because it isn't meant to. But every now and then, in the middle of all that performance, you'll catch a moment that's different. She'll laugh at something you said that wasn't a joke you told, but a real thing about yourself. She'll ask you a second question that actually follows from your answer, not from the script. She'll forget for just a second to keep her posture perfect. Those little cracks in the performance, that's a real human being poking through. And I'm not telling you that woman is your soulmate. I'm telling you she's a person. And in that moment, you are talking to the person and not the role. Learn to feel that shift. It will save you a world of heartache. Now, let me introduce you to who you're actually going to meet in there, because it is not one woman repeated 8 times. That's the mistake. Men walk in and see a wall of pretty faces and think they're all the same. They are not. Let me show you three of them. The first one, I'll call her the strategist. She is sharp. She's done this 100 times. And she is very, very good at it. She clocks you the moment you walk in. Your shoes, your watch, the way you carry yourself, whether you look nervous, whether you look lonely, whether you look like a man who will say yes to anything just to keep the warm feeling going. And within minutes, she has a plan. Now, I could tell you to fear her, but I won't, because fear makes you stupid. Instead, I'll tell you the truth. The strategist isn't evil. She is running a business in a hard world with the only tools she was given. You just have to know she's running it. If you walk in wide eyed and grateful and desperate to be adored, you are exactly the customer she prays for. If you walk in warm but clear eyed, kind but not naive, she'll recognize it in about 30 seconds, and she'll either respect you or move on to easier prey. Either way, you win. The second one, I'll call her the tired dreamer. And this one, I have a soft spot for because she breaks my heart a little. She's in that room because life put her there, not because she chose it out of a dream. Maybe a child at home. Maybe a family leaning on her shoulders. Maybe a man who left. She is not a hardened operator. She is a woman who is exhausted and who still, somehow, holds a small hope that one night the right kind man will walk in and her whole life will change. And here's what I need you to hear, my dear, and hear well. That hope makes her vulnerable. Not to you taking her money, but to you taking her heart carelessly and dropping it. A woman like that will fall for a kind older man fast and hard, faster than is good for either of you, because she is drowning and you look like the shore. So if you meet her, be careful. Not careful with your wallet, careful with her. And the third one surprises men every time, so let me tell you about her. Sometimes, in that same room, there is a woman who is just a normal woman, working a job, saving for school or for a business, or to get her family out of a leaking house. She's not there for romance at all. She's polite, she's professional. She goes home at the end of her shift to a completely ordinary life, and she thinks about you not at all after you leave. And the funny thing is, she's often the one a certain kind of man becomes obsessed with, precisely because she isn't chasing him. Isn't that always the way? We want most the thing that isn't reaching for us. Now, let me open a little loop and I promise I'll pay it off. There is a fourth thing that happens in that room, and it's the most dangerous thing of all, and it doesn't come from any of the women. It comes from inside the man himself. Keep that in the back of your mind. We're coming back to it. Because here's what typically happens on that first night, and I've seen it 100 times. So let me just tell you the story. A man walks in, alone, a little jet lagged, a little nervous. Within an hour, one woman has attached herself to his side. She laughs at everything. She touches his arm. She looks up at him like he hung the moon and the stars and personally invented electricity. He buys a round. She lights up, he buys another. By the end of that one evening, this man, who is intelligent, who ran a business or a department or a household for 30 years, this grown man has decided he is in love, genuinely. He is already in his head planning how to bring her home. After one night, after one single night in a room designed from the floor up to produce exactly that feeling, and that, my dear, is the mistake. That is the 90 out of 100 mistake I promised you. Not the money, not the women. The mistake is mistaking a warm evening for a life. It's letting one night of being seen convince you that you have been chosen. And I understand it. God, I understand it. When you've been invisible for 20 years, one night of adoration doesn't feel like a night. It feels like being brought back from the dead. But you cannot build a marriage on the first hit of a feeling you'd been starving for. You just can't. Real quick, before I get into the rest, if Marian is making sense to you so far, do me one small favor and tap that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. It really helps me keep making these videos just for you, and it makes sure you never miss the next one. Okay? Come closer because this next part is the one most men get completely wrong. Let's talk about the money. Because you knew we'd get here, and I told you I wouldn't dodge it, so I won't. On that first night, money is going to enter the picture. And how you handle it in the first 10 minutes tells everyone in that room exactly who you are. Here's the honest truth about the money. And it's more layered than either extreme wants you to believe. Yes, in that setting, part of what's happening is transactional. Pretending otherwise makes you a mark. When you buy the drinks, there's a system, and a piece of what you spend keeps the whole room turning. That's not romance. That's the arrangement And it's the same in bars all over the world, just dressed differently. So the naive man who thinks the pretty smile has nothing to do with the drink he just bought is fooling himself. But, and this is a big but, the cynical man who decides that means every ounce of it is fake, that she's a calculator with lipstick, is also fooling himself. And honestly, he's the uglier of the two. Because I've watched women in those rooms feel real affection for a man, even while the arrangement was running in the background. A person can be working and still be human at the same time. Those two things are not enemies. The waiter who serves you your favorite meal with a real smile is still getting paid, and the smile is still real. Life is full of that mixture. So the smart man, the one I'm trying to make you into, does something the naive man and the cynical man both fail to do. He holds both truths at once. He knows the arrangement is real, and he stays open to the person being real too, and he does not confuse one for the other. Now, here's my rule for you on money that first night, and write it on your hand. Never ever treat spending as a way to buy her feelings. The second you start thinking, if I spend more, she'll love me more, you have lost. And worse, you've become the exact cliche that the whole world laughs at. Spend what's fair for the evening you're having. Be generous the way a decent man is generous. And then close that door in your head. Because a woman worth anything is not moved by how much you spent. She's moved by how you made her feel as a person. And if a woman only warms up when the spending goes up, sweetheart, she just told you everything. Listen to it. And here's the part that men who've been burned always ask me, Marian, what about when the requests start? The sick relative, the tuition, the emergency, back home. And I want to handle this carefully because it is real and it is delicate. Sometimes those stories are true. Life in the provinces can be brutally hard, and a genuine woman may genuinely need help. And sometimes those stories are a script that gets run on every foreigner who walks in. So, how do you tell? You don't, not on the first night. That's the answer. You cannot tell on the first night, so you don't act on the first night. A real relationship earns that kind of trust slowly, over months, in daylight, out of that room. A man who's opening his wallet for a woman's emergency after 2 evenings isn't in love. He's being managed. And I say that not to make you cold, but to make you patient. Patience is the single most powerful thing you can bring into that room, and almost no man brings it. Let me tell you about a man who got this right, because I don't want you thinking every story is a warning. He was 61. He came in, quiet, ordered one drink, and when a woman sat with him, he didn't fall over himself. He talked to her like a person. He asked about her day, not her measurements. He laughed, he was kind, and when the evening ended, he thanked her, wished her well, and went home by himself. And then he did the thing almost no man does. He came back a week later in the afternoon, sober, curious, no lights, no music, and he asked if she'd like to just have a coffee out in the daylight, no arrangement, no room. And you know what? Off that stage, they actually liked each other. It took months. It took her testing him and him proving he'd stay. That was 4 years ago. They run a little eatery together now. He didn't win because he was rich or handsome. He won because he was patient enough to find out who she was when the performance stopped. That's the whole game. Now, let me tell you what that bar cannot give you. Because this whole time I've been talking about the bar, but you, my dear, most of you watching me, you don't actually want the bar. You want a partner, a real one. And here's the hard truth. The woman you actually want, the mature, steady, loyal Filipina who will build a real life with you. She is almost never the one performing for a room full of strangers. That's not a judgment of the women in the bar. It's just geography. The kind of woman who wants what you want, a calm home, a faithful partner, someone to grow old beside. She's usually not spending her nights on that stage. She's at church. She's running her little sari-sari store. She's raising her sister's kids. She's the quiet one at the family gathering who everyone respects. And here is the beautiful, frustrating irony of it all. The very things that make the bar so intoxicating on the first night, the instant attention, the wall of smiles, the feeling of being adored in 5 minutes, those are the exact things that have nothing to do with building a marriage. Marriages aren't built on the first 5 minutes. They're built on the 10,000th ordinary Tuesday. And nobody performs an ordinary Tuesday. This is why the mature Filipina, the woman in her late 30s, her 40s, even her 50s, is so often the real price that men overlook while they're dazzled by the youngest face in the room. She's been through things, she knows what she wants, and just as important, what she doesn't. She isn't performing because she's past the age of performing for anyone. When she smiles at you, it's because she means it, and when she doesn't, you'll know that too. She isn't going to shower you with instant adoration on night one, and thank goodness, because that instant adoration was never the real thing anyway. She's going to make you earn a little, and what you earn is worth 10 times what you're handed for free. Alright, now I'm going to pay off that loop I opened. Remember, I told you the most dangerous thing in that room doesn't come from the women, it comes from inside the man? Here it is. The most dangerous thing in that bar is a man's own hunger to be loved, aimed like a fire hose at the first person who smiles at him. When you walk in that starved, that desperate to feel chosen, you stop seeing the actual woman in front of you. You paint your fantasy right over her face. You decide she's sweet, she's loyal, she's the one before she's said three real sentences because you need her to be. And a man in that state is not choosing a partner. He's just handing his whole heart to whoever happens to be standing closest. That's not love, my dear. That's need wearing love's clothes. And the women in that room, the sharp ones, can smell that hunger from across the floor, and it makes you the easiest man alive to move. So, the real work, the thing that protects you better than any warning I could give, isn't learning to spot a bad woman. It's walking in already whole, already okay by yourself. Wanting a partner, yes, but not needing one to feel like a man. Do that, and the whole room changes shape in front of your eyes. So let me tell you how to actually be in that room if you decide to go. Because I'm not going to tell you never to set foot in a bar. You're a grown man, you'll do what you please. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with a drink and some friendly company in a fun place. It's about how you carry yourself. So here's how a man of quality behaves in there. He's warm, but he's calm. He's kind to every woman he talks to, whether he's interested or not, because how you treat the ones you don't want tells the smart ones everything about how you treat the one you do. He asks real questions and actually listens to the answers. And I promise you, this alone makes you unforgettable because most of the men who come through that door don't listen to a single word. He doesn't brag about his money. He doesn't paw at anyone. He treats each woman like a full human being with a whole life outside that room because she is one. And he keeps his heart in his own chest for the evening. He enjoys himself, he goes back to his hotel alone, and he sleeps on it. And if he still feels something in the morning, in the daylight, when the lights aren't gold and the music isn't playing, well, then maybe there's something worth exploring slowly out in the real world. That, my dear, is a man in control of himself. And a man in control of himself is the most attractive thing in any room in the Philippines or anywhere else on this earth. Now, you might be asking, Marian, do any of these stories ever end well? Because I've spent all this time warning you and I don't want you to think I'm telling you it's hopeless. It is absolutely not hopeless. I've seen genuine, beautiful marriages come out of the most unlikely beginnings. I've seen a man meet a woman under the worst possible circumstances, and years later, they're still holding hands at the market. So, let me tell you what separates the stories that last from the ones that crash and burn. It's never the setting, it's never how they met. It's this. In the ones that last, at some point, both people step off the stage. He stopped being the wallet, and she stopped being the performance. And they met, finally, as two real people, usually somewhere quiet, in daylight, with all the theater switched off. In the ones that crash, that step off the stage never happened. He stayed a customer his whole relationship and never even knew it, chasing a feeling from a room that was designed to give him that feeling and take his money for it. The difference isn't luck. The difference is whether you were brave enough and patient enough to find out who she actually is when nobody's watching, and whether you were honest enough about who you actually are. So let me bring this all the way home, back to that man at the door. 58 years old, invisible for 20 years, standing in the light for the first time, with every head in the room turning toward him. What actually happens to that man? I'll tell you exactly what happens. What happens is he gets handed a mirror. That whole room, all that attention, all that warmth, it's a mirror held up to his own heart, and what he sees in it depends entirely on what he walked in carrying. If he walks in starving and desperate, the room will feed on that, gently and completely, and he'll walk out lighter in the wallet and heavier in the heart, telling himself a story that was never real. But if he walks in whole, curious, kind, patient, clear eyed, a man who knows his own worth and isn't begging anyone to hand it back to him, then that same room becomes something else entirely. It becomes just a place. Pretty lights, nice music, some real people, some performances, and no power over him at all. Same door, same room, same women, completely different night. Because the bar was never really the test. You were. So here's my last thought for you, and I want you to carry it with you long after this video ends. The attention will find you. When you get here, when you walk into that light, they will smile at you and it will feel wonderful. And I wanted to, you've earned a little wonderful after all these years. But don't you dare mistake being wanted in a room for being loved in a life. Those are two different countries, my dear, and the whole trick, the entire secret to finding the real thing over here is knowing which one you're standing in. Learn that, and no bar in the Philippines can fool you. And the woman like the one you're really hoping for, she won't want to fool you anyway. She'll just want to be found. And now you know where to look and where not to. Next time, I'm going to tell you about the quiet signs. A mature Filipina is genuinely falling for you, the real ones, not the performance. The little things she does that she doesn't even realize she's doing. Trust me, once you can read those, everything changes. So don't miss it. Before you go, if you got something out of this, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what I share next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.